For an emerging market like India, where the price sensitivity is such an issue, where supply chains are fragmented, how easy or tough is it to build for such a market? And at the same time, since you're leading AI initiatives, how kind of a test will it be for you as an AI product leader to build products for such a market?
AI becomes a game changer not because of the chaos that we have, but because it is able to put some sense into this chaos.
So Zepto started as two boys from Mumbai, starting out from their garage to trying to solve a problem, and I guess within 3-4 years they have a massive impact when you talk about changing the habits of the customers across India. So welcome back to another episode of Ignition, which is all about you, AI, and our future. This is Varun Pandey, and here we talk about how AI is going to shape up the way we build products with the ones who are actually building it. And today we have someone very special, and why I'm saying that is because he's leading AI initiatives at a space which is the most sought after in India with regards to consumer space, that is quick commerce. So welcome, Mr. Kishan Barcha, who is the AI product leader at Zepto. Thanks a lot for taking out time from your busy schedule, especially during the sales days. And how are you feeling?
Thanks, Varun. Thanks for having me here. No, the feeling is great. Look forward to having a great discussion with you. Thanks.
Thank you, sir. I just would like to go back to the days where you started your journey because most of the product leaders have very fascinating tales to tell. Right, from leading product at Amazon to leading the genai. So, if you can take us through your journey.
Honestly, when I started, as you called out, the product management space was never thought about even. I have now a decade of experience. So I started with Crystal, which is where we would do credit ratings for some of the top insurance companies, then moved to investment banking. So I started as a core finance person and never as a tech person. But gradually, as I moved ahead in the career, with the whole investment banking space, I started creating products for the investment banks and hedge funds to use. And these were some of the top investment banks and hedge funds of the world. And that's when the urge for product management came in. And I think that we continued with, had our own venture of mine where I was the product manager again. Post which I joined Amazon. In Amazon, I was leading product. Within Amazon, we were trying to solve for how do we improve the speed or experience of the customers via product-led initiatives. And thereafter, Zepto happened. So never actually started as a pure product person, but of course, that's how the transition has been.
True. Usually, so most of the investment bankers take the route of VC firms, right? Which is the conventional route, right? Otherwise, I guess you took the other one.
Yes,
And
yes.
I guess you definitely bring rich experience about a lot of aspects when you come to Zepto, I'm assuming.
I think all routes have their own pros and cons, but at the end, it's more important of what you enjoy more.
Right.
So I was enjoying this a lot, and hence I thought maybe we should continue with this.
Right. So I'm assuming, sir, with your experience, you come with a very interesting perspective of bringing both the macro emerging market like India, where the price sensitivity is such an issue, where supply chains are fragmented. How easy or tough is it to build for such a market? And at the same time, since you're leading AI initiatives, how kind of a test will it be for you as an AI product leader to build products for such a market?
See, this is a very good question and a very interesting one. If you look at how India is placed, one, that India has a beauty of its own that you cannot use a single yardstick to measure all the spaces across India.
Right.
Forget even cities and states, even in the same city, you will see so many varied experiences and how people behave, what people shop, that also changes within a city. For example, you take Bangalore itself. You take east to north of Bangalore, you would see people buying highly premium products. For example, let's say Akshay Kalpa. They are the market leader in their category for a premiumized version of ghee and similar products, right?
Hmm.
You see the north and east belt of Bangalore, you would have a very high, Akshay Kalpa would have a very high market share in that belt. But the moment you come opposite side of Bangalore,
Hmm.
which is south and east, west side of Bangalore, you would see Nandini selling more. So even in
Hmm.
the same city, you can't have the same yardstick, right?
Hmm.
And that's beauty of India.
Hmm. Is
However,
it
in
because of
this
the
same,
culture thing, or is it because of the monetary, I mean, like aspects of the
no,
ghee?
it's both.
Okay.
I think it's both the culture as well as the monetary aspect. Culture because because the whole of south and east is mostly local population and they love Nandini because of that.
Hmm.
However, the north and east is more of migrants and hence they have a more tendency to experiment.
Hmm.
And along with culture, it's multiple other reasons of financial uh, ability to buy such costly products, etc. And
Hmm.
this is leading to this mix.
Hmm.
Uh, with having said this, with all of this, AI becomes a game changer not because of the cures that we have, but because it is able to put some sense into this cures.
Okay.
So AI is working like a grease, according to me, in the machine, which is possibly not working as smoothly,
Okay.
and which is where it helps you prioritize a lot of things that you were not earlier able to prioritize. It's
Hmm.
able to bring that efficiency optimization into the system.
Hmm.
Let's say if we talk of the price matches, the
Hmm.
companies are able to do the right price matches now. Inventories are able to move faster, better. You know where to predict, what to predict. So some of these things have become easier for companies to work along with, and hence that's making a lot more sense.
Hmm.
Uh, yeah, I think that's broadly the thing.
Okay. And let's say in next 5 to 10 years, if you can broadly speak, how do you feel that AI would actually help you here on such a chaotic market like India or emerging market like India? Broadly, if you can tell us, how do you see the future of it?
I think the whole AI space itself is evolving, and there is a lot that has to happen in this space itself. Right
Hmm.
now, the way I see India, everyone is experimenting with AI.
Hmm.
No one has, so I think if you talk of the SaaS companies,
Right.
today almost every SaaS company is selling either agentic AI
Yeah.
or they are selling voice bots.
Yeah.
But voice bots mixed with AI to give you that experience of AI being able to talk to you in real time, right?
Right.
But none of them have been able to prove that metal yet, and it's mostly experimentation, trying, learning,
True.
relearning which is going on.
True.
And same is for the quick commerce, e-commerce, or the retail space.
Right.
Everyone is experimenting in bits and pieces. However, there are some specified use cases where AI has turned out to be really good.
Hmm.
For example, you talk of processes which were redundant or
Right.
manual.
Hmm.
AI has been able to replace most of them.
Especially the
So
operations
that's
one.
where especially the operations work, a lot of operations work, lot of MIS jobs, lot of bookkeeping stuff. AI has been able to do wonders in these spaces, but
Hmm.
maybe not everywhere. But what is changing with AI is that previously, I remember when we were in Amazon, we were looking to build some products to curb the customer abuse part of things, right?
Okay.
And it would take us months to build such a model and then test it and arrive at a confidence score to say, hey, this is the confidence score where
Hmm.
we are confident that the right customer will not get hurt and we'll
Hmm.
be able to capture only the abusers.
Hmm.
But what was a month's journey has become a day's journey now with AI becoming so easily accessible. So I
Hmm.
think that is changing in today's era.
Hmm. True, sir. In fact, I was actually seeing 2 days back that ChatGPT is already going to venture into the commerce, the commerce space, where you can directly order from the, that interface because already they are into the habit forming products of our generation, and I guess
Right.
soon they're going to be a big challenge for the every industries, right, in the e-commerce. So moving on, we have scratched the surface, but now I'd like to go beyond. So Zepto started as two boys from Mumbai, starting out from their garage to trying to solve a problem, and I guess within 3 4 years they have had a massive impact when you talk about changing the habits of the customers across India. And it also led to a watershed movement with a lot of other companies jumping into this space thereon. But all through that way, unit economics has been a big hurdle. So going ahead, I'd like to I'd like you to shed some light on the current scenario and how, let's say, you as a AI product leader see AI solving this particular aspects, whether it's predictive analytics or let's say other aspects of it.
See, this is a question which I think has been talked about a lot in the whole online forum.
Okay.
Unit economics is a challenge, not denying it.
Yeah.
But that's also, again, a beauty that India allows you to have, which
Hmm.
is where the whole density that you have allows you to manage that unit economics problem. Not only that, the cheap labor that we have available. So we would discuss this often in Amazon.
Hmm.
That Amazon, so Zepto is not in as outside India, right?
Right.
But Amazon is across the globe,
Right.
and in Amazon we would often discuss that India is one of the spaces where the last mile cost is the lowest.
Okay.
So while you have an unit economics problem, your last mile cost being lowest allows you to have that edge versus any other country.
Because of cheap
In
labor.
terms, of course, because of cheap labor, because of not having that necessity to put in as much capital investment at all points in time, and
Hmm.
hence you're able to manage at a much lower cost versus any other nation, right?
Hmm.
So, and of course there are many other reasons too, but these are primarily the top reasons,
Hmm.
and which is where the challenge of unit economics is something that you can fight against and yet be profitable. I think almost every company today is trying to get into that profitability mode in India.
Hmm.
And Zomato is one of the very good examples wherein they have turned
Right.
profitable. They went IPO, they turned profitable, they have been doing extremely good. And they too are in this very competitive space, right?
Hmm.
So unit economics is a problem, but there are companies who have been trying to figure out ways and they have been solving for it.
Hmm.
Now coming to AI, I think AI helps you. So AI wouldn't come and help you increase your revenue exponentially, nor
Hmm.
it will reduce your cost exponentially immediately.
Okay.
But it will help you fix those gaps which were earlier not fixed.
Okay.
So if we talk about, let's say, supply chain optimization, now
Hmm.
with AI, you have OCR models being built by every company in-house or possibly a third party who is catering to these OCR models.
Hmm.
Previously, most of the legs in supply chain would face problems because you can't always OCR products or the cost of OCR was very high. Now that
For
has been
the
solved.
betterment of audience, if you can sort of talk in a more layman term, that would be very great. A lot of AI
Sure.
enthusiasts watch this as well. Like, what is OCR, if you can explain it for them?
OCR is basically in layman's term image reading.
Okay.
So I have an image, I have a QR, I just scan it and it gives me all the data, right? That's
Right.
OCR. Or I
Right.
scan an image and it gives me everything.
Right.
So another way of OCR is maybe in cataloging you can use OCR. So
Right.
earlier there was a person who used to type the nutritional information
Yeah.
on the catalog that you see.
Yeah.
Now
Yeah.
you give an image and
Yeah. Yeah.
the system will scan it and give it to you.
Right.
So that's another way of solving for OCR related problems using AI. And
Right.
there are many similar gaps that you can fill using AI.
Mm.
When it comes to price matches, the scrollers, I remember when we were building our own, crawlers were one of the most difficult things to build. I know it's even more difficult today, but what AI has solved for is the tech is now universally available,
Right.
and with some smart intelligence you can build a crawler, so your price matches become very easy to do. So AI has been that enabler which has allowed you to fix those gaps which were earlier not very easily fixable. So
Mm.
hence that brings in those efficiencies which were earlier called leakages into the system, and this is where you end up saving a lot of cost.
Mm.
AI has also entered into the offices where a lot of manual work was being done.
Mm.
And I think, to my mind, in any company, depending upon scale, of course, but broadly between 1 to 3%, you would see a human capital cost
Mm.
for any decently managed company. Now,
Mm.
that cost is coming down because you are optimizing on a lot of manual work which was earlier not solvable,
Right.
and hence you are saving costs again somehow. So
Mm.
that's where I think AI is playing a good game, and
Mm.
those who are able to adopt AI are doing wonders versus those who are not able to adopt.
So you have been in product space for 10 years now. Don't you think post the arrival of ChatGPT, this was kind of a watershed moment that a lot of progress happened or packed into, let's say, 2 to 3 or 4 years with regards to adoption by companies. Wasn't that fascinating to watch as a product leader?
Agree. No, no, no.
Right?
I agree. But I think that's true for every tech, uh, like a stride, any stride that we take on the tech front. This is
Hmm.
true for that. When the dot-com bubble happened, lot of things which were taking 4 or 5 years people were able to do it in a few days or few months or few weeks. And I think this is again a similar moment. A couple of years back, the world was trying this with the blockchain and the
Right.
crypto part of things. While it didn't
Happen.
work out in the desired sense,
Hmm.
but again, the idea was the same. So I agree. Whenever a tech revolution happens, it helps everyone, and this has been one of the uh, one-off cases where we were able to see wonders happening in a couple of few months.
Right. So, sir, as a seasoned product leader, you have to have a balance at managing scale, long-term business needs, and at the same time, experimentations. So, what are your go-to frameworks for these? Because this is definitely a very sticky situation as a product leader to justify experiments and experimentation at the same time manage, business impact and user needs. If you can tell us some of your business frameworks or product frameworks you do hold that closed.
See, I'll tell you, there are multiple frameworks available on net, and you can
Yeah.
go through them. But for me, what has always worked is having that business sense. When I say business sense, I mean धंधे को क्या चाहिए is as simple as it can be put. What is it that brings money or saves cost is something that should be prioritized, because that is where you are running the business, right?
Right.
Now, while this is put very simplistically, you should have multiple tracks running at any given point of time. So maybe I would put it as 3 to 4 tracks. When the first track is your BAU, because that's your bread and butter, because of which you are working for the company, you are working with the company, and the company is running because of which. So you have to ensure that your BAU bread and butter does not get disrupted. So that's first track that you always have to ensure that runs smoothly.
Right.
The next track is the experimentation thing. So at any given point of time, you would be doing a lot of ABs, you would be doing a lot of experiments, you would be trying to learn, unlearn things. क्या ये चलेगा नहीं चलेगा, this will work, this will not work. So that's when you experiment with a lot of things, implement them, do it at small scales, say 5% cohort pay you are testing, then you increase your cohort to 10, 15, 20, and then so on and so forth. If it
Hmm.
turns out to be good, otherwise you close that experiment immediately. You would make some tweaks and then go back to the testing phase again. So that's another way of, that's another track that I think is very important that one should have. And the third track is, to me, is pure experimentation. That यार ये तो किसी ने सोचा ही नहीं है, and this is possibly not even a need of the business as of today.
Hmm.
This is something which maybe I need 5 months, 6 months, or maybe 2 quarters, 3 quarters from now.
Hmm.
So, but why not create a basic base for it?
Hmm.
Let's put some bandwidth here, there. Let's experiment with it. And when the time comes, I'll scale it up immediately.
Hmm.
But that is to have the right vision of, say, medium to long term planning of what is required.
Hmm.
You cannot always be as short lived कि आज तो यही करना है, and this is 2 weeks or 3 weeks का task, and that's when I close the stuff.
Sir, how
And I think
grueling does it become for an AI product leader who's at the cusp of experimentation when it comes to stakeholder management? Because stakeholder management is anyway not an easy, cup of tea. But when you are in such a space where you're justifying your experiments that are good for business, I mean, like I'm pretty sure you might be at a very sticky spot at some situations, right? I mean, like if you can shed some of your experiences, or let's say for the upcoming AI product managers or AI builders.
no, no. See, this is a tricky thing. While it's good, I would say stakeholder management is one of the key qualities that a product manager has to have.
Right.
Uh, and it becomes tricky at times. But what is the key is to be able to communicate clearly that, hey, this is the priority and
Hmm.
this is the value associated with that priority. I
Right.
mean, for me, as I said, it's either, so I understand business in sense of it has to either give me revenue, it has to give me cost, or it has to enhance the customer experience by leaps and bounds for me to be able to prioritize. Right
Hmm.
now, let's say if I have 10 tasks running, each at a priority of say 1 rupee, 2 rupee, 10, to 10 rupees,
Right.
I am by default going to go for something which will give me 10 rupees for goodness,
Hmm.
unless I have to experiment with something which may possibly give me 1 rupee today but 100 rupees in future. But then that's a different discussion altogether. Then
Right.
possibly we are building a different line, or we are experimenting with something very crazy to be giving such goodness.
Right.
But and I think stakeholders broadly, wherever I have worked, understand this. They understand why something is being prioritized versus other, and that happens because we're able to explicitly and transparently put things out to them. That
Hmm.
hey, these are 10 priorities of the team, and priorities are defined so and so because of a reason, and
Hmm.
that's when they'll also try to negotiate with you to some extent, but
Hmm.
and you will also end up yielding at times, but then I think that balance is easily manageable when transparency is there.
Totally, totally understood, sir. So my next question was about you were the one who actually spearheaded launch of Zepto Atom, and if you could give a little bit idea of to our audience what exactly is that, because I though have read about it pretty well. And secondly, this space has already been dominated by a lot of legacy players like Nielsen. So what exactly does Zepto aim to do by launching such a product? Is it about disrupting the space, or is it about building something bigger and better, which we cannot see in the hindsight? Let's say something which is very relevant for the AI retail ecosystem.
So fairly, I can cover that. See, when we launched Zepto Atom, and in fact, even before that, a lot has already been said about Zepto Atom on the public spaces. Adit
Right.
had done multiple webinars. There are multiple PR launches that were done,
Right.
and there's already a lot of content on Zepto Atom. But to
Hmm.
give you a gist about it, it's our retail intelligence platform, which is where we want to tell the world that hey, this is what your sales is looking like. These are the customers who are buying. This is where you can understand who, when, what price point, what quantity people are buying, what is your retention looking like, what is your customer penetration looking like, and many other matrices that the brands always desired for. Now, it's easier said than done. At the same time, the brands were relying on multiple competitors till date for some of these data points.
Okay.
But what we tried to do over here was not to just limit to giving that intelligence, but to make it more actionable,
Okay.
which is where some of our recent launches, such as surveys, went live, which is where we say that hey, you know who is your customer
Hmm.
because of the persona insights that we give you. We
Hmm.
know who, when they are shopping, and I think then you possibly need also want to reach out to the customer to say maybe if you want to launch a product, maybe you want to do an AB of an ad, that maybe this ad will
Okay.
work more or the other ad will work more, or
Hmm.
maybe you just want to get some insights on how the brand is doing or what customers perceive about your brand. That's when you can create a survey, go out, run it, and within a couple of days, you will have the output with you.
So what
Which,
is usually the nudge point of these, like if you can share of the backbone, data collection points, like the nudge points. Is it the ones, the screens which appear after you've ordered? Like, can that be one of the most
uh,
data collection point for Zepto Atom, or right from the user journey from the start?
so a clear disclaimer that Zepto doesn't ask for any specific data points from customer, right? I don't
Right.
ask you what's your age, what's your
Yeah.
gender, what's your income, etc. But then there are ways in which we can predict a lot of things. There are
Right.
multiple data science models that we build for every attribute.
Right.
Let's say if I were to predict your age, then basis what products you are buying, I can predict that. If
Right.
I were to predict whether you are a family person or you are single, basis how many products and what time of the day and what products you buy, I can tell whether you are a family person or you are a single person. Whether you are adding to a cart basis a planned checklist that you have, which possibly your wife or your mother would have given you.
Hmm.
So, for example, let's say if your mother has given you a checklist, you are not going to spend a lot of time exploring items. You'll just search the
Hmm.
product, add, go to
Hmm.
cart, make the payment. But if you're
Hmm.
buying for yourself, you would do a lot of browsing, scrolling, and then maybe search a product, look for another option, and then go and finalize. So basis all of these traits, I can tell who is the customer buying, what are they buying for, when are they buying, how are they buying, whether they live in a residential area, whether they live alone. Let's say if you're ordering every time for yourself and there are
Hmm.
multiple orders coming from different phones in your area, I know whether it's a
Okay.
PG wala area or it's a residential
Right,
community, it's
right,
a
right.
commercial space. So basis multiple ways we can find out what the trait is. So we don't explicitly ask anything, but we run multiple data science models using
Hmm.
some assumptions, of course, and we try to predict it. And this is something which the brands don't usually have, because
Hmm.
most of the brands have always been offline heavy. In
Hmm.
offline heavy, you don't get such data points at the ease at which Zepto can give you.
True.
Some of these data points are critical for brands to be able to decide what price point we should sell, where we should sell. If I have to go and create a new product, in which category or subcategory I should create.
Hmm.
So this is where the insights are very useful for the brands. And hence, to answer your question specifically, there are no specific nudges that I look into,
Yeah.
but I look into your behavior across the platform.
So can I sort of conclude that you're not looking to disrupt the space that is already there by the
No,
bigger
no, we
one?
are looking to disrupt. We are looking to disrupt by giving those actionable insights. So
Hmm.
पहले तो insights नहीं थे. So we gave those insights. अब
Hmm.
उन insights पे how can I create actionability? So survey is one of our actionability. Another actionability we have is synthetic chat. Brands don't know who the customer is buying, but using synthetic chat, I can allow brands to talk to the customer. When I say
Hmm.
synthetic chat, I mean I put in the huge DB database that we have in an
Hmm.
LLM model to make the LLM talk and behave like the customer or himself or herself.
Hmm.
And LLM is able to answer all of the brand's queries without giving out specifics. So an
Hmm.
aggregated data is being used to present a customer to the brand.
I
So
believe
again,
you
an
also bring a
actionable.
mass adaptability and adoption in a place where a lot of players cannot afford, players like Nielsen, let's say with
Yes, yes,
regard to
of
the
course, of
budget,
course.
right?
Of course. In fact, why we launched survey was also one of the reasons that most brands were not able to go to the biggies of the world,
Right.
and at the same time, the time to close the survey was 2 to 3 months. Now,
Okay.
with Zepto allowing brands to do survey, the survey can go out to a targeted cohort. They know this person is buying my product or this person is buying my competitor's product, and I want to question something to the customer
Hmm.
from a given locality with given traits. They can filter all of these out, and they know that this customer is actively buying on Zepto. They
Hmm.
can reach out to the customer, they can give some gratification to the customer, get answers, and immediately act on it. So we have
Hmm.
reduced the time from couple of months to a couple of hours or couple of days significantly.
Hmm.
So that's the benefit which brands have now. And
Hmm.
we are building on such more actionables in times to come.
Hmm.
And the whole idea of retail intelligence is to not only give retail intelligence but allow those actionables to happen. And if you look
Hmm.
at the customer cohort, it doesn't change versus say Zepto, Swiggy, Amazon, or Flipkart. The
Right.
customers would be the same, right? It's the same
Right.
Indian continent that India as a country that you're serving, right?
Right.
So in this space, irrespective of who gives you those insights, you would
Hmm.
be able to use them across the country, and which is where the whole
Right.
game of retail intelligence comes into play.
Truly, totally. That's great to hear, sir. AI product managers, aspiring product managers, and AI builders are actually watching our podcast. So, advising to them and also advising to a younger self, a younger Kishan, who would be, let's say, who just fresh out of college today and today's world and actually looking to build a career in AI product management. What would be your three pieces of advice would be? And at the same time, if you can connect it with what do you look while hiring in your team, let's say, with regards to AI product management.
Thanks. That's a very fair question, which I think everyone should have a clear view into, per my mind. with the world that we are in, no, getting that information is very easy. Getting any information is very easy. मतलब आप पूछ लो कुछ सी भी चीज के बारे में, चैट जीपीटी will give you some response to it.
Right.
But how much of it is truth, how much of it is actually has value is something that one has to figure out. And to me, that comes by basic fundamental thinking, which are your core principles.
Hmm.
So, fundamental thinking wise, if you go, I think that's the key skill that one should have. When you check or test anything by core foundational principles, no matter how much gas around it, you would know कि ये चलेगा नहीं चलेगा.
Okay.
And I think that is one key ability that everyone should have.
Hmm.
And as someone who is growing in his or her career, it doesn't come out as intuitively because you have so much globish gas around yourself, not directly because of you but because of all the information that the world is giving you, that ये भी कर लेना वो भी कर लेना ऐसा भी वैसा भी. People usually get distracted, but I think
Hmm.
every time you face that distraction, take a step back, think fundamentally is this making sense, क्या ये धंधे की बात है?
Hmm.
अगर धंधे की बात नहीं है तो don't do it, or think
Hmm.
twice before doing it. So
Hmm.
that's first principle according to me is very important for anyone to be doing. And this is not true only for product management as a career, but across any careers that you look into. I think this forms a very core base of what you are doing. The next, from a product management perspective, is having that data vision. Most PMs end up taking data driven decisions, and which is where your ability to decipher what something is being told backwards of data becomes
Hmm.
very important. Look into data, make various cuts out of it, have
Hmm.
that analytical view, be ready to accept that you are wrong because data is proving that. So have that humility in yourself because data is the king at the end of the day. You
Hmm.
may make a product which is the best in the class, but if it is not selling and if data is telling you
Hmm.
भाई घर में पैसे नहीं आ रहे, then that's the truth.
Hmm.
उसके ऊपर there is no fight. So data is the king,
Hmm.
and be in a position where you're able to read that data, make
Hmm.
various cuts out of it, play with those analytical tools that are available in the market. Not every time you should end up saying कि यार एक कोई BA चाहिए who can do this work for me. So
Hmm.
have that acumen in yourself that you're able to play with data yourself, write some basic queries, do some basic analytics,
Hmm.
and that is something which helps you scale also in your career.
Hmm.
And the last and final thing is, which I think everyone would have understood till date, but implementation is a key here, is to be able to have that willingness in yourself to learn, unlearn things as soon as possible. So I remember when I started my career journey, finance was a thing. If you were getting into Goldman Sachs, you were creme de la creme. Even
Hmm.
today, finance is a thing, but is the job in Goldman Sachs creme de la creme? I am not very sure. There are multiple other avenues along with it,
Right.
right? And there are some other creme de la cremes which have come into the market.
Hmm.
So you being able to look into things, understand them, with changing times, be able to unlearn and relearn something new is something which is very critical. And I think with people who are young, you are who are growing, this becomes very easier. For people who are not as willing to change, the market will punish them hard. And I think with changing market scenarios, with changing conditions, see, e-commerce was never a thing until say 2011 or 12.
Hmm.
After that, e-commerce became a thing. Quick commerce was not even there until 2017, 18, 19. Quick commerce came into the world.
Hmm.
AI was not there until a few years back. AI is now there. Blockchain was not there until say 2016 or 15. Now blockchain is there. So
Hmm.
things are changing every day, and some of these things are impacting our lives drastically, like, and not even gradually, but they are coming at you at once, boom bam, and the life is has changed. Now
Hmm.
if you don't adapt, you are at a loss, and you will possibly be facing a business loss or a commercial loss, or maybe not even a commercial loss, but maybe in some other sense. So it's very important that we keep evolving, we keep developing. So yeah, that's about
Pretty
it.
much these are the qualities you would also look someone while you're hiring inside into your team.
When I'm hiring, I also look for someone who has done a lot of things.
Okay.
Personally, I don't prefer book smart people as much, because I understand your real test is when the market tests you.
Right. Right.
I don't remember which movie I had heard this in, but some of the movies, or someone had mentioned this, that the most people who make the most money are not the Nobel laureates. With no disrespect to Nobel laureates, but
Mhm.
you being able to have the right thesis is one thing, but you be able to market it is a different thing. The
Mm.
space in which I am, I think I need those smart, market smart people who
Mm.
are able to disrupt things fast and don't always end up saying that book में तो यही लिखा है.
So
And
some real projects who have people who have built real projects and have
maybe
taken them
real
to the market.
projects. Maybe real projects, or if you don't have any real project experience also, then let's say in college you were not only studying but you were in 10 different clubs, you were
Mm.
having 10 different activities. Forget any experience, you were just very active across clubs, across committees, and you had some actual sense of why you were doing something. So
Mm.
that is also a good experience, right? Because that tells me that ये बंदा सिर्फ एक चीज नहीं करेगा, ये बंदा 10 चीजें कर पाएगा, and is open to taking feedback, is open to experiment, has that hustle quality in himself or herself. I
Mm.
think that's one key attribute which I look up to. Other than that, I think the basic criteria of you being able to understand the basics of any product, tech, all those are always key criteria. So I'm not even getting into those. But over and above those, someone who I would like to hire is someone who is able to handle 10 different things.
Mm. And basically, what I could get out was the understanding of Danda, which
Huh.
actually maybe resonates to you a lot. I think so.
Right, right,
Yeah.
right, right.
One last question which I'd be asking before closing, which has always actually made me curious, was how is it working as an experienced or seasoned product leader across the firm with such young founders? I mean, like, because I might be getting a bit more in depth, but it has always been back of our mind because being such a young founder and handling such people who are much more experienced than you, it might be a very in such a highly competitive space, it might be a very happening space, I think, right? If you can shed some light there, or is it too much to ask?
Well, I think you are also signaling that I am old, but
No. What I meant was, I've heard a lot of the board of directors comprise a lot of people who have come across,
no, no, of course, I
from
know.
Amazons or from the big MNCs. So that's what I meant actually.
No, no, I was just kidding there. I think that's beauty of Zepto at an overall level. We have leaders who are fundamental rocks of the system.
Hmm.
Some of the initial leaders who have joined the system, they are still there with us. In fact, most of them are there with us even now. Those who are there in board, they are they come with such rich experience, knowledge, and they have formed the bedrock of Zepto.
Right.
And when you work with such experienced people who are also agile in their ways of working,
Hmm.
it's love to work with them. When it comes to having a young founder, it's again fun because they are also so agile,
Hmm.
and they are so accepting to every thought, every idea that you come up with. You wouldn't find a case wherein you go to them with an idea and they say, "यार नहीं बात करूंगा," yeah, this is not something that I'm even interested in. But they are someone who would always be open to hearing about things, interesting topic आप लेके जाओ, they'll talk to you, they'll hear you out. Then they'll decide whether they should move forward or not. As I mentioned earlier, also, transparency is the key. Whether we want to go ahead with something or not should be taken basis some data. That decision should be taken basis some data and should be transparently conveyed. And that is what Zepto does a lot of time, in fact, all the time. And that is what I love about them. So hence that problem of having a young leader and an old leader does not happen as long as your fundamental rock principles are solid and you are transparently conveying them to the audience that you are working with.
Right. That explains a lot about the product culture there, sir. I was always
Ah,
curious about how the product culture there is. because so much is happening and it's such a competitive space. Thank you again, sir, for answering all the questions so delightfully and so in an accepting manner. It was a pleasure to listen to you, and I actually look forward to having maybe more sessions with you in future as Zepto grows and as you actually bring a lot of delightful features for us in this space.
Thanks, brother. Thanks a lot. Look forward to talking to you again. Let's be in touch.
Sure.
And all the best to you.